we absolutely have to distance ourselves from wokery because it is profoundly authoritarian and illiberal. It stands for institutional power, not liberation. And it is the organic ideology of a particular section of the professional classes. It has nothing to do with progressivism.
This is the guy the left wing in this country should absolutely listen to, and they absolutely won't. So recently, Vivek Chibber, a sociology professor at NYU, went on the Doom Scroll podcast hosted by Josh Citarella. A decidedly left-wing guy with opinions and often smug anti-Trump sentiments that I am completely at odds with, Josh is at least trying to figure out what the left did wrong and how they can learn from it. And while I think the left deserves everything that's happening to them, I at least admire Josh for not screeching, reeing, and absolutely melting down over the Trump victory. Instead, he's actually looking in the mirror and trying to gain some insight from those who may provide it.
Consumers of left media are identitarians. And people are afraid of alienating them. But unless you start criticizing this stuff, you're going to go down with the ship. Rufo's going to win. Trump's going to win. The battle against the university left, they're going to win it. The battle against woke media, they're going to win it. And unless we're able to say that, yeah, we think this stuff is bullshit, we're going to be left holding the bag. Now layer on top of that this ideology that says most of the people are idiots. Most workers are white racists or misogynists or transphobes. The current left will go it has absolutely no possibility of succeeding as long as it has this attitude. And most of it, I would say the overwhelming majority, has no interest in, no inclination to change that attitude because they're not in the game to win. They're in the game to feel better about themselves.
Now, let me make it 100% clear. I do not endorse Vivek's politics. At his heart, he's a Marxist.
If we tried it just one more time, I really think it could work.
And more than that, he believes we should govern with some sort of green eco-activism. I think that's just stupid, and the entire 20th century serves as a 100-year-long example as to why Marxism doesn't work. But that being said, I do think this country needs a healthy left wing. A left wing that offers constructive and valuable criticisms or a contrary worldview that can genuinely enrich the political discourse. But I mean, that is not what you have right now. What you have now breaks down into a few groups. Essentially, you have the boomer libs who are not over the hippie workers' revolution of the 60s and 70s. Angry and miserable liberal city women who've been having a decade-long meltdown over the orange man, and soyified men who value group endorsement over thinking for themselves, all of them propping up this bloated managerial class dug in like ticks, true parasites of the American people, screeching and wailing as their hijacked ship sinks with them on it. The left needs an alternative, and it's going to require they break away from the trans kid-making, criminal-loving, economically retarded, multi-headed Hydra monstrosity they have today. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear from Vivek.
When something goes wrong, when poor people, working people, out of desperation, start moving to the right, this is a left that says they failed us. The poor no longer deserve our support.
Right.
Because they're no longer worthy of us.
Now tell me this isn't spot on. So let's journey back to the far, far away time of November 2024, where suddenly women, Latinos, and even some black men were all now white supremacists for the crime of electing Donald Trump.
Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
This thing Vivek describes is one of the key reasons why people have moved away from the left. Our policies are absolutely destructive. We hate your family. We don't want it to prosper. And anyone who disagrees with us is a racist or a phobe and completely beneath us on our lofty perch. Shockingly, this strategy hasn't worked. Furthermore, the modern left loves to throw around the working class and hardworking Americans, but they don't identify with them. The working class are like a political prop they throw around to gain moral footing, but when actually confronted with a real working class man, that's like the embodiment of their enemy. Just take like your average American guy, right? Probably a gun owner, probably Christian, probably enjoys like Shane Gillis and Joe Rogan.
Oh, fuck.
Probably likes to point out what girls are hot, eats meat, and makes off-color jokes with his friends. To the left, that's like a rap sheet, and they claim to represent these people? How could they possibly have drifted right? The horror! Yeah, you attack and alienate an entire class of people, give them no pathway to redemption or prosperity, they might start looking for other options. It's a possibility!
The Enlightenment gives you socialism. It did not give you slavery. That's absolute nonsense. A simple reasoning here. Slavery's been around, at least in the West, since the Greek city-states. And in Asia and Africa, as long as what recorded history we have, slavery's been around, as has slaughter, genocide, all that sort of stuff.
These are very inconvenient facts for the radicalized leftist. These facts are a complete affront to their worldview. Decolonize this, slavery that. It's a childish and alienating worldview that genuinely does fuel resentment. And if you put that in the hands of angry and disenfranchised people with a limited scope of information, it can and does lead to real-world violence.
You have some people are laughing, some people are videotaping.
I just threw something on fire, Chris, a firecracker. Something's on fire.
And more importantly, it's horseshit. It's made up of cherry-picked facts and observations as well as outright lies specifically designed to destabilize and divide. For instance, if you were to call the Founding Fathers slave owners, it immediately discredits them and everything they wrote. Cite the First or Second Amendment? Well, I'm not interested in listening to what a bunch of rich, white, property-owning slave masters have to say about anything. See, it's just that simple. But of course it isn't. We'll just completely overlook the fact that no country on earth would abolish slavery for another 30 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Great Britain would be the chief force stomping out slavery all over the world for the next 100 years. And the Founding Fathers themselves were having contentious discussions about this very thing during the Revolutionary War. But no. The white man bad, the West bad, the West slavery, you bad, feel bad, vote Democrat. Sound good? No. Clearly not.
It's a complicated moment because my instinct is that when you're watching young people become politicized online, they gravitate towards this right-wing critique of the identity politics.
Yeah.
And they're correct about that.
Yes, they're
they're
correct
actually,
about
the people on the right are saying something correct.
If the only people
movement.
criticizing the illiberalism of the university, the illiberalism of the radical left, if the only people criticizing the way in which identity politics is being played out today, the only people doing it is the right, you hand over all of these critiques to them, and people are going to go to the right.
And they did. And while quite frankly, I think that's a good thing, and it's exactly what the country needed right now, it isn't perfect. I think we need strong, intelligent critiques and discussion from the left in this country. But until you abandon identity politics, hyperbole, lying, and vilifying everyone who isn't a race and gender communist, you will continue your decline into complete irrelevance.
There's no particular fight that's more important than any other fight. And so you fight all of these things everywhere. And the key thing is that domination, that oppression is everywhere. Because I happen to be in this site, and that's the site I'm going to politicize. I think that's called hyper-politics now.
Yeah,
politicize every fucking thing. Why? Where you are is a site of complete irrelevance.
This is precisely what we've been seeing, the we being anyone outside of academia. Just people out in the real world living their lives, suddenly having this wave of oppression and identity politics crashing upon us. I'm sure you've seen it somewhere in your life. I saw it plenty of places, but where it hit me most was in the media. In video games, movies, TV shows, comic books, proper books, racial dynamics, gender dynamics, gay dynamics, all dominating the conversation where storytelling and entertainment once stood. Divisive politics now towering over everything. And worse yet, it wasn't even a discussion, it was a lecture, an unwavering, unquestionable, one-sided diatribe that suddenly invaded everything everywhere all at once. As Vivek states, it's a fight that must be fought everywhere.
When you're just moonlighting and you have your livelihood, you have your job, and you go there because you want to feel like you're a social justice warrior, or you have grouses you want to take out of the world and all that, you can burn it down and walk away, and it won't affect you. That has an impact. Now, I'm not in DSA, but I know a lot of people who are, and they have to deal with this. They have to deal with really unhappy or misguided people who just plant their flag and will not budge, even if it means that branch becomes dysfunctional. Why? Because if it becomes dysfunctional, it doesn't matter to you, right?
Which is exactly what we've seen, right? The comic book industry, torched. Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, torched. Marvel's on its way out, and you could add dozens of titles to that list. Hell, Hollywood and entertainment as a whole has been nuked. However, it is nice to know that the awful activists don't just destroy the things we love, they destroy everything they touch, including their own movement. So here's my appeal to the left. Most people were, and still are, pretty socially liberal, but you fucked that all up. Gay people? The vast amount of Americans either supported or tolerated gay marriage, and then gay people just became part of the fabric of American culture. That is, until you were encouraging people to cut their dicks off and teaching kindergartners about intersex people and gender fluid and lesbian sex positions and forcing representation into literally all media, and everyone was like, all right, we're done. Nope, we're done with this. How about the environment? Sure, I'd love to help the environment. Here's a few extra dollars to get that done. Then it becomes, well, climate change is going to kill the planet, and if you drive a car, you're a Nazi, and electric cars need to be the way of the future. Let's legislate that. Oh no, but not Elon's car. He's a Nazi. And if you eat meat, you're a Nazi. And if you're flying, you're a Nazi. Unless you're a climate change activist, then you can own yachts and fly private jets, and that's all fine, and then, okay, enough of that too. How about race relations? The 90s was absolutely peak in that department. Movie stars, music, comedy. America was a pretty accepting and sympathetic place to the black community. Now, when a cop kills a criminal, if that criminal happens to be black, it's not only okay to burn your city down and loot, it's the moral thing to do. America's had enough. You've gone around telling people the sky is purple, and when they look at it and disagree, you call them bigots. Well, call us whatever you want because we just don't care anymore. And until you return to some kind of sanity, you will follow this decline into complete obscurity. And I'll tell you, you won't be missed.